Okay, I'm going to try and keep these videos as short and sweet as possible because it's a lot of information to take in, and also you can very easily get lost and sound like an absolute lunatic. So I start off with asking you guys, because this is how we break the mold of this evil satanic doctrine that's got us locked down and enslaved. Research the Siesta KV Act. Research that. Research dog Latin. And also research the word person in the Chicago Manual of Styles. Page 666, would you believe it? Now, I am here to teach people the difference between a person created by paperwork and a man born and created in the womb. One is natural, is a natural formation of the world, a man. The other is unnatural and requires a performance. One is and one isn't. One was created by God in God's beautiful design, and the other was created by the minds of man, by contract, by deed, by the birth certificate. Knowing the difference between a crown created thing and a God created thing is the difference between life and death. I used to freely walk around claiming to be a corporate ranked fiction, Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, that was created from this deed, the birth certificate. When this deed was acknowledged by my parents, they signed this in person. They performed in person as a crown created thing and signed this. Signing me, a man, Philip, into an act called the Siesta KV Act, which deems me dead lost at sea if I don't claim my God-given equity. The Crown took my God-given equity and yours and everyone's and turned it into a trust through the International Bank of Settlements. A national insurance number is nothing more than the bank account number for the International Bank of Settlements for that trust. Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley is nothing more than the oration for the Hartley Corp, creating a corporation. If I perform in person as Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, I give the Crown consent to deal with me as a fiction rather than me. Now, God's truth is the double-edged sword. The word of God is the double-edged sword, because you can quiz any judge that's acting honourably, and you can question them about the proceedings that's happening in a court hearing, a business transaction between a Crown Creator Corp, the surname, and the Crown. Because legislative acts can only sue and be sued by a corporate name. The Crown cannot sue a man. The Crown cannot sue a man. It can only sue another corporate name. Hartley, the surname. It's grammatical fraud that is being used, and a spurious in nature foreign text called dog Latin, which is to corrupt God's truth. It's a conversion, that's a fact. On this birth certificate, on this deed, there are two languages, a foreign text called dog Latin and precise English. Same as on this deed poll, when I changed the name from Lestrange to Hartley, when I changed the name of the person, Mr. Philip Anthony Lestrange to Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, this has dog Latin on it as well. And when you're at a court hearing, a judge will never ask you for a name and date of birth. They will use their lackeys and throw them under the bus, because they know that they can't trick you. So they get the clerk to ask you these questions. Now, I question the court. When I'm at court, when I'm invited, especially invited to a hearing, I know that if I stand in the dock, the mother's signature on this deed takes ultimate authority. So when I do stand off land in a dock, I do it under duress. Because in the eyes of the Crown, I, Philip, a living, breathing being, are deemed dead, lost at sea. They only want to speak and they only want me to perform as their creation, Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, a spokesperson for the Hartley Corp, the oration for the Corp, which creates the corporation. Now, at these court hearings, they use a Latin proverb: he who remains silent when he ought to have spoken and was able to is taken to agree. Now, my silence when I'm at a court hearing is wanting through lack of ignorance, because I've took the time to learn the difference between Mr. Military Registered, Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, and myself, Philip. I no longer go round claiming to have a name or a birth certificate. When you see these people talking truth, you'll notice that they say, your straw man, your birth certificate. It's not yours. It's absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all been done without your knowledge or consent. Claiming it is agreeing. It's agreeing. Acting as beneficiary executor rather than the trustee, Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley, is still agreeing. Have absolutely nothing to do with it. We are ruled by contract laws, my friends, the Black Laws Dictionary and maritime laws, because when we perform in person, we are basically saying that we're not created by God, we're not living, we're just acting in person, speaking for the trust. So a transaction can go ahead between the Crown and the surname. Does this make sense to you, my friends? I used to freely walk around saying I am Mr. Philip Anthony Hartley before I realised who I actually was. It says on this deed, not to be used for identification. But yet every bank, everywhere you go, want that. Every corp want that. Because when you act in person, you're claiming to be dead. Therefore, their trust is left for salvaging. And through using salvage laws, the representatives of the Crown mislead us to perform as the trustee, so they can administrate that trust without our knowledge or consent. That is fraud. It's legal name fraud. Asking any man for a name and date of birth is intentionally misleading them into a verbal contract where they purport to act as a representative for a Crown-created corporate franchise. A surname. A surname, it has SERPs attached to it. When I was born, this rectangle, a born notice, was produced. The Crown then took it and incorporated it. Everything else around that rectangle is incorporated. Is incorporation. A BAM number. I wasn't born with a number attached to me. Only this name that is created by contract has a number attached to it. And I, all my life, from the moment I could register at school, Philip, yes miss, that's me. Yeah, I'm programmed all my life to perform. Now if someone has a grievance against me, yeah, I'm happy to face my accuser. When I'm at a court hearing, I'm like, well, in a crime, there's two things: a victim or a contract. If there's no victim here, then this surely must be a contract-based proceeding, which requires an act of incorporation from I, a man called Philip. I perform as Mr. Hartley now under duress. I only use the legal name when I truly have to. I really don't want to use it at all. And I'm looking forward to the day I'm living in the woods, off the land as God intended, tending to my crops, tending to my chickens, tending to my livestock. And living as God intended, as we did in the garden, as the animals still live. I mean, we take the piss out of animals. Man. And the number of Satan is the number of a man. 666. We are carbon-based life forms. 6 protons, 6 neurons, 6 electrons. My friends, wake up. You can either be operating from love, or you can be operating from hatred. You can either be misleading people and tricking them, or you can be telling people the truth with sound doctrine, God's truth, or legal. A maxim in law, legality is not reality, and it ain't. Be lawful, not legal. Peace.